All right, I believe we are live. This is a little bit of an impromptu video today, guys. Sorry I didn't schedule it out, but welcome to Endless Entrepreneurs. My name is Luke, and I am a part-time eBay seller and a full-time finance analyst. I have been building my reselling business for probably, I don't know, it's been 3 years at least, probably a year and a half very seriously. And, I've gotten a lot of questions lately about how to price your items and the strategy on pricing those items. So I just wanted to kind of cover the process from start to finish of what I do. And this question is becoming more and more prevalent. I normally give, hi Chicago, Crown Hustler, thanks for joining. Hi Sean. I'll shout out some people as they come in, but it's just been one of those things where I realize in a lot of my content, I go through what I think it'll sell for, but I never really talk about how I arrive at that conclusion. And when you get a lot of one-offs that aren't commodities, I think that it can be something that trips up a lot of new sellers, especially. Hi, Parrot Head Picker, thanks for joining. So I want to take some time. It's a bright sunny day. I'm going to spend most of it outside later, but I figured I'd get the video out of the way now and hopefully help you guys out. Let me see what some people filter in here for a minute. Make sure my stream's working here. Nice. Can you guys see and hear me okay in the chat? You guys mind letting me know? Everything's good there? Hi, Michelle. Someone can just let me know you can hear me okay. My audio's fine before I go too much further. Someone can just let me know you can hear me okay. There we go. I can hear myself. My audio's fine before I go too. Very good. All right. So let's just jump right in. I'm going to actually share my screen with you guys, and I think that's going to be the best way for me to go through this. I'm not going to be able to see comments, so I'm going to get through everything and kind of how I do pricing, and then I'll jump back and we can do some Q&A off of there. I think that's going to be the best format for me to show you. But I'm going to talk about my business model too, because I think that that's one thing that we get tripped up on as resellers. Here's present everyone. Sorry guys, I haven't screen shared before. Hopefully it's working. All right. Can you guys see my screen okay? Let me just double check with that. You guys in the comments. Hey Flip Flops, thanks for joining. Hey Crown Hustler, can you guys see my screen? It should be frozen. If anyone can just let me know. Still waiting. All right, I'm going to assume you can see my screen. So what I'm going to do is I picked like 4 items that I thought were kind of all in the neighborhood of what you might be selling or what I sell, and I want to go through the different process I do to price them. These are items that I actually have listed. You can see you good. Keep looking back. All right, good. All right. So this is an ex officio orange button front vintage shirt. This is actually one of my favorite outdoor fishing brands to use. And if I was to list this, so I photoed it, I did my measurements, I've got it ready, I go to list it, I get to the end of my listing and I go, oh man, what do I price this at? Where do I want it? So the first thing I want to discuss is what your model is. So my model as a seller is to be a long tail seller, which means that when I target pricing, I try to get in like the upper 75% of what I think I can get for it. So if the range for an item is $15 to $30, I want to fall in that $25 to $30 range. I don't want to settle for 15 because I'm trying to build inventory. Whereas if you are a more fast flip type seller, which both are fine, and it all comes down to what you want out of it, and you're trying to move it, I would price it closer to $15. And then you can fall anywhere in between based on what you're trying to get out of the item. The other big factor to think about is what you're paying for the item. So for me, I paid $4 for this item. So I don't have a big investment into it, and I know it's going to be lightweight to ship. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. I'm just going to flip back to the chat here to make sure everything's going okay. All right, cool. So what I would do normally, so I get to the end of my listing, I would pull up a second eBay window here, and I would type a basic description, and I think this is where a lot of people get tripped up, is they try to find the exact match to their item. And I think that for most cases, that's not realistic unless you're looking for a really like true vintage item, like one of a kind thing. You know, yeah, you're gonna look for the exact, but when you're talking about clothing as a commodity, so this ex officio shirt, I'm just gonna look for ex officio vented shirt. All right, and I'm not even gonna put in long sleeve. I'm just gonna put in that. Then I'm gonna make sure I select use, because mine's used. I'm gonna make sure I hit sold listings. And then I'm gonna sort by highest plus shipping. So price, shipping, highest first. All right. So right away, this filters it. These are the recent sales. So you have January 3rd, January 29th. These are selling for over $30. Now, there are some nuances because I did a broad level search, right? So Buzz Off Insect Shield is a plus for the brand. So it's going to sell a little higher. Mine's a basic one. So I'm going to keep scrolling down until I find something that I think is reasonable. Now, this right here, even though it's women's, this is about what my shirt looks like. And I see right now, I'm scrolling down through, I haven't got below about $27 with shipping, $28 with shipping. And you notice some of these are $23.99 with shipping, some are just free shipping. So that's why I sort with price plus shipping to make sure I capture the whole market of what's out there and what's sold. Now, another really good way to measure your price is to scroll down for a while. So I'll get a baseline and then I'll just kind of head down deep in the page to see, is there a big drop off or those anomalies, or is this a pretty standard price? So as you can see here, I'm halfway down the page, probably 250, 60 items, and I'm still at about $24 shipped. So for me, I know that I, as a long-term seller, I'm going to price near that $27.50 to $30 range. That's where I want to be. Now, the other thing I factor in is that I run a 20% sale almost all the time, recurring every 2 days. So I also know that that's going to knock it down to about 23, 24. So when I price something at $29.99, I know I'm probably only going to get around 23 or 24. So that puts me in that 75% of the max value range, if that makes sense. Now I'm going to flip back to chat here. Does that, hopefully that makes sense to you guys? I've seen if there's any questions here. All right, cool. I'm going to keep going then. But I think that that's the best way for me. Now, the second part of this, what I really enjoy, is especially if it's a really commoditized item like a Ralph Lauren, which is the next item I'm going to look at. So here's a Ralph Lauren shirt. The other second piece is where ex officio, I don't think the market's flooded. I don't view it as a flooded market. Ralph Lauren, I do view as a flooded market, but it's still sellable. So this is a basic classic fit Oxford dress shirt. You can see with my sale, I'm targeted at about $19.99, basically $19.92. So around that $20 price point. A lot of people think that's high. For me, it works. It's a model that's worked for me. And like I said, I want to be in that upper 75%. So not only would I do the same approach here that I just did. All right, so I type in my Ralph Lauren classic, and this is a classic fit, right? So let me put back here for you guys. It's classic fit. So I want to make sure I have that keyword in there because it does differentiate. And then I'm just going to say men's dress shirt. I'm going to make sure I have used on. And every time you retype it in, sometimes it resets your filters, which is highly annoying. And in this case, because the market's so flooded, I'm going to put a price cap. And I'm just going to say 0 to like, I know that this is probably 35 max. Just to filter out all of like the high end, purple label stuff. Now you start to see here, there's a bunch of lotted shirts. So we've got 2 for 40 here, 2 for 35 with shipping. So I mean, they're around 40. If I keep scrolling down, I'm still at like 29. These all have big ponies. So once I type in the search, I'd be like, all right, I'm a little off base. I'm not where I want to be. This is way too broad. So I'm going to go back up. I'm going to say, no, I want to be 25. Now we're getting closer to ones that match my description. So these are still lots, but so Ralph Lauren Classic Fit Purple. Now that's a tall. So mine doesn't really fit that because big and tall sells better. So I'm going to keep scrolling. Now we're getting closer, right? So this is Yarmouth, which shouldn't be in here because that's the line. It's not Classic Fit. But so yeah, Classic Fit here, $24.99 plus $8.65 shipping. 20. Yeah, we're like below 30s here. Now a lot of these are white. And a lot of these have different materials. So like there's a cashmere folded in here. So I'm just looking for that basic cotton one. So I'm still scrolling. Here's a Blake, but it's not classic fit. And it shows you guys just how they get filtered into the search here. So now we're getting closer to what I'm looking for. So this is just a basic, this is 25 plus 6 shipping. Black label, that's interesting. $24.99, here's another one. These are actually, and I'm surprised because I haven't done a search on Ralph Lauren in a long time. But so these are pretty high price. So normally a lot of people would say, okay, I'm gonna price it at 30. Now here's the second part to the pricing that's really important. I'm gonna search for all listings, not sold listings, so active. Now I'm gonna look and say, well, how many are up here? So just 25 and under, how many are up here, right? So 5,766 results for Ralph Lauren Classic Fit, priced at $25 or under. Now that doesn't include shipping, so let's just do free shipping, just to see what competition is. So now we have 2,017 Ralph Lauren Classic Fit shirts at $25 or less with free shipping. So here, and this is where I think people get tripped up a lot. Yeah, I saw some solds for $30. However, there are 2,000 other options of very similarly priced items at way less. So the probability when someone goes to search, especially as a buyer, like if I'm going to search for a shirt, I'm going to look for probably price lowest first, right? Price plus shipping lowest. I might filter for buy it now if I don't want to do an auction, or if I am doing auctions, I would probably have time on it soonest. So you need to think about that from a buyer perspective. When a market is flooded like this, I can't price in that upper 75% like I normally would. I'm just going to bounce over here. All right, I think we're still okay with comments here, but that's a really important differentiation you guys need to make. Is when a market is this flooded with an item, I can't necessarily get that upper 75% that I want to get as a long tail seller, which is why my Ralph Lauren and my Brooks Brothers I price at $19.99. Yes, it's technically $24.99, but I'm running a sale to get down there. So hopefully that example makes sense. I'm going to do one more example here with Mountain Hardwear. And so again, if I got to the end of my listing, I would type Mountain Hardwear, and this is a vintage shirt. So vintage shirt, and I'm going to click sold. I'm going to hit used. Now here's another extreme example. So I only have 8 results for vintage shirts and Mountain Hardwear sold. I see them from $24.50, and then they start to drop off under 20 bucks. All right. Now this is an example where A, I might want to go check to see how many are actively listed, or B, what I normally do as a long tail seller is I say, all right, this is the top price point. Not many of them have sold. Let me see what if the market's flooded. So I would uncheck sold listings, and I would say there's only 15 results. So to me, as thinking about like from an economy perspective, there aren't many options for buyers. So I'm going to take that $24.50, right, and I'm going to make sure that I'm right at it, or even maybe a little above it. In this case, I'm like, you can see $23.99 with my sale, but I priced it at $29.99. So when my sale isn't running, it's even higher. And to me, that's great for me as a seller because there aren't options. And when someone's looking for something specific like this, they don't have options. My pictures probably look the best. They're looking for something specific in the size. They're going to pull the trigger on it. So to me, that's taking advantage of whether the market's saturated or not. Now I'm going to flip back and not share my screen here. All right. I'm going to flip back my chat here. Much further. Oops. And let me just refresh comments here. All right. So what do you guys think? That's how I do my pricing. I know there's been a lot of questions on that. What do you guys think? What questions do you have for me? You know, what type of things do you think are working for you guys? Maybe the questions aren't catching up. Let me just see. All right, I'm not seeing a lot of questions, so I'm going to take that as that I did a really thorough job of explaining it. But my other real summary point to this before I wrap up, because I don't want this to be too long of a video, was simply that when you're pricing items, you need to understand what you're trying to accomplish. and it comes back to a supply and demand type issue. And I think that there's so much, I don't know. Yeah, check listed as well. Yeah, agreed. So I always check what's listed and what's been sold, right? So I want to see both. I don't check very often simply because I know what I'm selling. And every now and then I might check to see if a trend has changed, if something's not selling. But for the most part, I don't check. But yeah, I would check how many are out there as well as what has sold for. Because you want to see what the supply is. If it's oversaturated, you need to price a little more competitively. But I really think that people miss the boat a bit on what they're trying to accomplish. And they get really hung up on what's the best model. And the model really just depends on yourself, right? Like if you're trying to sell something quickly, you need to price it lower. Like you can't price the way I price. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that sometimes we get too caught up in trying to say one way is better than the other. And it really just comes down to what are you trying to accomplish. Hey, Chris, thanks for joining. Michelle SD said, if pictures and pricing are great, then how long before you adjust something and what should it be? So that's a good question. And I am probably not the majority here in my take, but I don't adjust my pricing if I know that it's a good buy. So I'll have Ralph Lauren shirts, for example, that will sit for 20 months, 15 months, but they'll sell for $19.99 when the right buyer comes, is looking for that right color, right size, right style. So to me, it's a commodity. I know what price is there. Whereas if it's something that's a one-off I don't know about, I might price it down, after 6 months if I'm not sure it's going to sell and I don't know a lot about it, or there's not a lot of comps to tell whether there's demand for it. So I hope that answers your question, Michelle. Thanks, Bob. Thanks everyone for joining. I think we got 20 viewers right now. This was kind of an impromptu one, so I appreciate you guys joining. Bill asked, a little off topic, but I'm looking to get a label printer. Any advice, anyone? I use a Brother, I think it's a 500 QL. I've been using it for 3 years, and I bought it used for like 40 bucks. I do know there's a lot of better options out there. I haven't done a lot of research on it, so I'll let you guys in the chat kind of hit them up with some good ideas for that. Any other questions before I end here? I actually have a bunch of listing to do, and then I've got me and Shannon have engagement pictures today, so it's going to be a long day of trying to get the dog to behave and making sure that we get some good pictures in. It's a beautiful day for it, though, so we're very fortunate with that. Yeah, and just addressing Bill, you can get label printers really cheap. My recommendation, I don't buy them new. I buy most of my stuff like that used. Thanks, Parrot. Appreciate it. Wedding's still a while away, so we have lots of time to plan, but engagement pictures should be fun. Thanks, Jane. I appreciate that. Chicago Crown Hustler just asked, do you ever do online sourcing, pre-owned items? So I went through a phase where I was real lazy. About a year ago. I wasn't really lazy. My life was just a lot different. I didn't have as much time to source. And I actually tried, I was pretty much cherry picking items on eBay a lot. I was trying to find like allotted items that were auctioned and trying to pick them. I would just watch them all day and try to bid on them. Because I'm in Charlotte now and I have such an abundance of clothing, it's not really worth my time to track that all day. I think Main Picker has a channel, and I think he's an accountant, so he's very busy a lot. And he actually does quite a bit of like, he'll watch auctions all day and try to cherry pick off items and resell them. So check out his channel, Main Picker. I know he probably has some better advice on how to do that, Chicago. I don't typically do that. I just have too many stores around me. I mean, we have like, I don't know, Jason's in the chat. We've got like 30 thrift stores easily in the 30-minute drive around us. So I don't really have to go too far. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up there. I'm going to do I'll have a live video tomorrow. I'll do my Sunday shipping vlog. So hopefully you guys can attend. It's probably going to be at 4 o'clock again Eastern. And we got 26 people watching. So if you don't mind, hit that like button if this was helpful. I super appreciate you guys tuning in. And we got one more question I'll answer. Sorry. With Parrot Picker said, with blazers, why are some of the front pockets sewn shut and some not? What is the purpose of this? So I'm not an expert in that. I believe it's just the functionality. I believe the higher end suits, they're usually open, and normally it's for a pocket square. So they put like it's supposed to be like an offset in color or a match to tie into like a vest or a tie. You'd match those colors with a pocket square. Whereas the ones that are sewn shut are more just like for looks. And I believe the higher end suits, they normally have a lot more functional pockets. Higher end suits will also have like the surging cuffs that they unbutton versus the lower end suits. It's just like a static button for the look. Oh, lower pockets. Oh, I'm sorry, Parrothead. Lower pockets? I'm not sure why some or some don't. Maybe someone else in the chat can answer it. They manufacture later. Okay, thanks, Chicago. That was a great answer. You guys in the chat can read it. Basically, it looks like they manufacture them to fit the consumer's need. But yeah, I'm not super tuned in on the pocket usage because it's not really a keyword when I go to list, so I haven't done a lot of research on those. I really only know about the keywords that drive stuff. So Matt, I do have a video on how to list a blazer, and I go over the measurements. Check that one out. If it's not detailed enough, let me know, and I don't mind doing a follow-up video on how to for that. Also check out Rakin Profit. He has some of his older videos are really good on blazers too. That's actually where I learned to do it. If it's sealed, it's a selling point. Okay, thanks, Chicago. So if the lower pockets guys are sealed on a blazer, I guess that's a selling point. So that's cool. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap up here, guys. I could talk all day. You guys know me. I love talking about this stuff. But I got to get those listings up and then get ready and get all prettied up for pictures. So have a great rest of your Saturday, guys. Enjoy the weather if it's nice near you, and we will chat tomorrow. Take care, guys.